Failures often carry a negative connotation. From an early age, we are conditioned to celebrate only victories, achievements, and successes. Yet what if we could flip that script and see failures as moments equally worth celebrating? What if we treated our failures as learning experiences, as fuel for growth, and as critical milestones that are just as important as our successes? In this video, we're going to dive deep into why you should celebrate your failures like successes, how doing so will transform your mindset, and how embracing failure will ultimately lead to greater success in life. We live in a society that glorifies success. From childhood, we are taught to aspire to greatness, to chase after the top prize, and to define our lives by achievements. The school system ranks us by grades. Our careers are measured by promotions, and our social media feeds are filled with highlight reels of others' successes. But what about failure? The flip side of the coin that we rarely speak about, or if we do, it's with embarrassment or shame. What if I told you that failure is not something to avoid but something to celebrate? What if failure is, in fact, the key to long-lasting success? This may sound counterintuitive, but failure is not only inevitable, it's necessary. Every great inventor, entrepreneur, and visionary you admire has faced failure, and many of them celebrate it as much as they do their successes. In this video, we will explore why failure is a critical part of success, and why celebrating your failures is just as important as celebrating your achievements. We will look at the psychological benefits, personal growth, and how failure can unlock the door to innovation, creativity, and resilience. By the end of this journey, you will view failure not as an enemy to be feared, but as a trusted companion on the road to success. 1. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. We often mistakenly believe that success and failure are two opposing forces, one to be pursued, the other to be avoided at all costs. However, the truth is that success and failure are two sides of the same coin. Failure is an essential stepping stone on the path to success, and those who avoid failure inevitably limit their potential for success. Example: Thomas Edison and the light bulb. One of the most well-known examples of this is Thomas Edison's journey to inventing the light bulb. Edison famously failed over 1,000 times before successfully inventing a functioning electric light bulb. When asked by a reporter how he felt about failing so many times, Edison replied, "I have not failed 1,000 times. I have successfully discovered 1,000 ways that do not work." Edison's story demonstrates that failure is not something that detracts from success. It is a necessary process that contributes to it. Without those 1,000 failures, Edison would never have discovered the correct solution. Each failure brought him closer to his goal. Actionable insight. Start viewing each failure as a step forward rather than a step backward. Keep a journal where you track your failures and the lessons you learned from them. Over time, this practice will shift your mindset and help you see the progress embedded within your setbacks. Expansion. Let's take this a step further by examining modern-day entrepreneurs like Elon Musk. Musk, who founded companies like Tesla and SpaceX, has faced multiple failures along his journey. His early rockets exploded, his car company almost went bankrupt, and many of his ambitious goals were delayed. Yet today, Musk is regarded as one of the most innovative minds of our generation. Musk didn't view his failures as roadblocks. Instead, they became the foundation upon which his success was built. Celebrating failure as part of success changes the way you approach challenges. It allows you to embrace risk, experiment without fear, and take bolder steps forward. 2. Failure fuels resilience. One of the most significant benefits of failure is that it fuels resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover quickly from difficulties, and it is one of the most critical traits for long-term success. When you fail, you are forced to confront adversity head-on, which teaches you how to bounce back stronger. Real-world example: J.K. Rowling's journey to literary success. Before J.K. Rowling became a household name with the success of her Harry Potter series, she was a struggling writer. She faced rejection from 12 different publishers who didn't believe that her story about a young wizard would ever amount to anything. Rowling was also a single mother living on welfare, struggling to make ends meet. Yet, Despite these failures and setbacks, she persisted. Rowling's story is a testament to the power of resilience. Each rejection letter could have been the end of her dream, but instead she used them as motivation to keep pushing forward. Today, the Harry Potter series is one of the best-selling book franchises in history. The psychology of resilience. Resilience is not a trait that people are born with. It is something that is developed through experience. When you experience failure, your brain adapts and strengthens, learning how to cope with adversity. Neuroscientific studies have shown that resilient individuals have more robust connections in their brain's reward and motivation centers, which allows them to view failure as a temporary setback rather than a permanent defeat. Celebrating failure reinforces resilience. Each time you celebrate a failure, you are telling your brain that setbacks are a normal part of life and that you have the strength to overcome them. Over time, this builds a mindset of resilience that will serve you in every area of your life. Actionable insight. The next time you face a failure, actively celebrate it. Take yourself out for a celebratory dinner, share the story with friends, or write about it on social media. By acknowledging and celebrating your failure, you are rewiring your brain to associate setbacks with growth and resilience. 3. Failure enhances creativity and innovation. Many of the greatest innovations in history came from individuals who weren't afraid to fail. In fact, failure often forces us to think outside the box and come up with new solutions. When we succeed too quickly, we may become complacent and stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible. On the other hand, failure challenges us to rethink our strategies and develop creative solutions. Example: the birth of Post-it notes. One famous example of failure leading to innovation is the creation of Post-it notes. The adhesive used in Post-it notes was initially developed by a scientist named Spencer Silver, who was trying to create a super strong adhesive for 3M. However, the adhesive he created was weak and didn't meet the requirements for the project. Instead of throwing it away, Silver continued experimenting with the failed adhesive, and eventually it was used to create the popular Post-it notes that we use today. Silver's failure led to the creation of a product that has become an essential tool in offices around the world. This story demonstrates how failure can often lead to unexpected innovations if we are willing to embrace it rather than discard it. Actionable insight. The next time you face failure, ask yourself, what new ideas or possibilities does this open up? Instead of focusing on what went wrong, focus on how you can leverage the failure to come up with creative solutions or innovations. Expansion. Let's look at the world of technology startups. Many tech founders face multiple failures before finding the right product-market fit. Companies like Airbnb, Uber, and Slack all had to pivot and experiment before they hit upon the ideas that led to their eventual success. In each case, the founders were able to embrace failure as a learning tool and used it to spark creative problem-solving. Celebrating failure not only helps you stay motivated, but also keeps you in a state of curiosity and innovation. When you stop fearing failure, you start experimenting more freely, and that's where true creativity is born. 4. Failure teaches valuable lessons. One of the greatest gifts that failure offers is the opportunity to learn valuable lessons. Success can sometimes blind us to the areas where we need improvement. When things are going well, we often don't stop to reflect on what we could do better. Failure, on the other hand, forces us to take a hard look at ourselves and our approach. Example: the fall and rise of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is often celebrated as one of the greatest innovators of our time. However, before he became the celebrated co-founder of Apple, Jobs faced a massive failure. He was fired from his own company. After being ousted from Apple in 1985, Jobs could have easily thrown in the towel. Instead, he used the failure as a learning opportunity. During his time away from Apple, Jobs founded another company, Next, and acquired Pixar. He honed his skills as a leader and entrepreneur, and when he eventually returned to Apple in 1997, he was a much stronger, wiser leader. Under his leadership, Apple introduced revolutionary products like the iPod, iPhone, and iPad, cementing Jobs' legacy as a visionary. Jobs himself has said that being fired from Apple was one of the best things that ever happened to him. It forced him to reevaluate his approach and ultimately led to his greatest successes. Actionable insight. When you experience failure, ask yourself, what is this experience trying to teach me? Take time to reflect on the lessons you can extract from the situation. By viewing failure as a teacher, you can approach each setback with curiosity rather than frustration. Expansion. Failure teaches us lessons about perseverance, grit, patience, and self-awareness. Let's break these down. Perseverance. Failure teaches you to keep going despite the odds. The more you fail, the more determined you become to overcome obstacles. Grit. Grit is the ability to stick with something over the long term, even when it's hard. People who celebrate their failures develop grit, which is essential for achieving long-term success. Patience. Failure often forces you to slow down and reevaluate. It teaches you the importance of patience, which is essential in a world that often prioritizes quick wins. Self-awareness. Failure helps you become more self-aware by revealing areas where you need to grow. This is one of the most valuable lessons you can learn, as it helps you refine your strategies and approach. By celebrating these lessons, you can approach life with a growth mindset, understanding that failure is not something to be avoided, but embraced as a critical part of your development. 5. Failure builds character. Success can inflate your ego, but failure builds character. Character is not formed in times of ease. It is shaped through adversity. The way you respond to failure says a lot about who you are as a person, and the more you fail, the more opportunities you have to build resilience, humility, and integrity. Example: the perseverance of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is often regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but his journey to greatness was not without failure. In high school, Jordan was cut from his varsity basketball team, a failure that devastated him at the time. However, instead of giving up, Jordan used the rejection as motivation to work harder. Jordan famously said, "I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times, I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed." Jordan's story exemplifies how failure can build character. By facing rejection and failure head-on, Jordan developed the perseverance, discipline, and mental toughness that would later make him a champion. Actionable insight. Celebrate your failures by acknowledging the character traits they help you develop. Whether it's humility, patience, or perseverance, each failure strengthens a specific part of your character. Write down the traits you're developing with each failure and reflect on how these traits are making you a better, more resilient person. 6. Failure promotes personal growth. Personal growth is rarely achieved in moments of comfort. It's the challenges and failures we face that push us out of our comfort zones and force us to evolve. When you celebrate your failures, you are recognizing the tremendous value they bring in terms of personal development. Expansion on personal growth. Let's break this down into specific ways. Failure promotes personal growth. Emotional intelligence. Failure forces you to confront difficult emotions such as disappointment, frustration, and doubt. By navigating these emotions, you develop emotional intelligence, which is the ability to understand and manage your feelings and those of others. Self-discipline. When you fail, you have to decide whether to give up or try again. Every time you choose to try again, you are building self-discipline, the ability to continue working toward a goal despite setbacks. Adaptability. Failure teaches you how to adapt. It forces you to reconsider your approach, shift strategies, and try new things. This adaptability is an essential skill in today's rapidly changing world. Empathy. When you fail, you develop empathy for others who are also struggling. This empathy helps you build stronger relationships and makes you a more compassionate leader or colleague. Actionable insight. Make a habit of celebrating the personal growth that comes from failure. Keep a failure journal where you write down the personal growth you experience with each setback. Over time, You will start to see a pattern of growth that wouldn't have been possible without failure. 7. Failure encourages risk-taking. One of the biggest reasons people avoid taking risks is the fear of failure. When failure is seen as something negative, it becomes paralyzing. However, when you learn to celebrate failure, you remove the fear associated with taking risks, allowing you to pursue bigger goals with confidence. Example: the founders of Airbnb, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia, are a great example of risk-takers who embraced failure. In the early days of Airbnb, they struggled to get investors to believe in their concept. They were rejected by multiple venture capitalists and ran out of money several times. However, instead of giving up, they continued to refine their idea and take risks. Today, Airbnb is a multi-billion-dollar company, but it wouldn't exist if Chesky and Gebbia hadn't embraced failure as part of the journey. Actionable insight. If you're afraid to take a risk, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? By celebrating failure, you create a mindset where the fear of failure no longer holds you back. Take risks, knowing that even if you fail, there will be valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. 8. Failure is temporary, but the lessons are permanent. Failures can feel overwhelming in the moment, but they are always temporary. The sting of a setback fades over time, but the lessons you learn from that experience will stay with you forever. When you celebrate failure, you acknowledge that while the disappointment may be fleeting, the wisdom you gain is lasting. Example: Oprah Winfrey's early career setbacks. Oprah Winfrey is now one of the most successful media moguls in the world, but her journey to success was filled with failures. Early in her career, she was fired from her job as a news anchor because she was deemed unfit for television. Instead of letting this failure define her, Winfrey used it as an opportunity to find her true calling. Winfrey has said that failure taught her invaluable lessons about authenticity, resilience, and perseverance. Today, she credits those early setbacks with shaping her into the person she is. Actionable insight. The next time you fail, remind yourself that the failure is temporary, but the lessons are permanent. Write down the long-term benefits that will come from the failure, and celebrate the fact that these lessons will serve you for the rest of your life. 9. Failure helps you develop a growth mindset. In her groundbreaking research on the psychology of success, Dr. Carol Dweck introduced the concept of the growth mindset, the belief that intelligence, abilities, and talents can be developed through effort and learning. In contrast, a fixed mindset is the belief that your abilities are static and unchangeable. People with a fixed mindset avoid failure because they believe it reflects poorly on their abilities. However, those with a growth mindset embrace failure as an opportunity to learn and improve. Example: the fail-forward approach in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is known for its fail fast, fail often approach to innovation. Entrepreneurs and tech leaders in this region have embraced the idea that failure is not something to be feared, but something to be celebrated. By adopting a growth mindset, these leaders view each failure as a chance to learn and refine their ideas. Celebrating failure is a powerful way to develop a growth mindset. When you celebrate your setbacks, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of learning and improving from every experience. Actionable insight. Practice shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset by celebrating your failures. Each time you fail, remind yourself that this is an opportunity to grow. Over time, this practice will help you develop a growth mindset that will serve you in all areas of life. 10. Failure breaks the illusion of perfectionism. Perfectionism is a dangerous mindset that can prevent you from taking action. The fear of not being perfect often leads to procrastination, self-doubt, and a reluctance to take risks. Failure shatters the illusion of perfection and reminds us that it's okay to make mistakes. Example: Brené Brown and the Power of Vulnerability. Brené Brown, a research professor and author, has written extensively about the power of vulnerability. In her work, she encourages people to embrace imperfection and recognize that failure is a natural part of life. Brown's own journey is a testament to this. Her early research was met with skepticism, and she faced multiple rejections before her work gained widespread recognition. By embracing vulnerability and imperfection, Brown has helped millions of people recognize that failure is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be celebrated. Actionable insight. If you struggle with perfectionism, start celebrating your failures as a way to break free from the need to be perfect. Each time you fail, remind yourself that imperfection is a natural part of the process and that failure is a sign of growth, not inadequacy. And now that we've explored why you should celebrate your failures like successes, it's time to take action. Don't just absorb this knowledge, apply it in your life. The next time you experience a setback, don't shy away from it. Instead, celebrate it. Reflect on the lessons learned, the personal growth experienced, and the resilience gained. Share your story with others. Normalize the celebration of both failure and success. If this message resonates with you, share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Let's create a world where failure is not feared but embraced, where we celebrate every step, whether forward or backward, as part of the journey to success. Subscribe to this channel for more empowering content that will help you grow, not just in success but also in the face of adversity. Let's change the way we think about failure and learn to celebrate every aspect of our journey. Remember, every failure is a success in disguise.